Fernando Alonso needs no introduction to fans of Formula One. He's been around for a while and has won many championship races. However, his latest race in Monaco a few days ago ended in a way many people didn't expect. Most fans of motorsports know that winning a race takes a combination of skills and teamwork. Many believe that Alonso lost out to Verstappen because one of these factors was lacking. In simpler terms, they believe that the team cost the Spaniard his win. Are they right? Let's find out together. The race in Monaco a few days ago was one of the best the city has ever seen, and the conclusion couldn't have been more exciting. Although the eventual winner was predicted by many fans before the race started. As the rain descended on the wild wet surface of the Principality, it looked like the former champion would win over the Dutchman. But his team made some strange tactical decisions that may have cost him a chance of picking up his 33rd win. Things began to unfold from the qualifying session. Alonso went fastest in the first and second sessions, and even an underwhelming final session managed to take a provisional pole from Charles Leclerc. Former champion Jenson Button called it the best qualifying session he has ever seen, and it is hard to disagree with him. After watching such an intriguing qualifying session, most people didn't think the race itself could be better, but that is what exactly happened. Aston Martin chose a hard to medium strategy for Alonso, and it may have been the right idea. Max Verstappen was on a medium to hard himself. The plan was to make it to turn 1 before Alonso. The strategy worked out, and on the softer tire, Verstappen began to establish a lead that was always going to happen. Alonso's team took that into account when coming up with their strategy. They wanted that as the race continued and the surface cooled, it meant that when Alonso went to mediums, he should have been able to lap quicker with less tire wear than Verstappen. A similar thing happened in Miami when Verstappen was on a hard to medium strategy against teammate Pierre, who used the same plan. Verstappen had an amazing second half of the race, and Alonso wanted to replicate that win. Unfortunately, Aston Martin and Alonso never saw if their strategy would work. The rain began lightly on lap 51 and increased slowly over the section from Casino Square to the tunnel. Added to tire choice, made the decision difficult by lap 54. The Spaniard ended the race in P2 behind Verstappen after failing to match the Dutchman. Aston Martin boxed Alonso toward the end of the race for medium tires when the track was clearly too wet for the slick compound tires. So the former champion had to return to the pits the following lap to change intermediate tires, losing precious time to the eventual winner and reigning world champion Max Verstappen. In the post-race conference, Alonso was asked if the strategy cost him in the race. It turned out he was asked that question in previous races, which continued to confuse him as over 60% of the track was dry when he made the stop for medium tires. He spoke about his lack of understanding of why people expected him to have taken on intermediates at the time. Alonso went on to say that even if he remained dry, that he would end up losing because he didn't have the pace to beat. Had the team selected the interviewer tires initially, Alonso may have had a better chance to battle it out with Verstappen at the end of the race. Former champion Jenson Button believes that Aston Martin and Alonso couldn't have won regardless of the strategy, as the Red Bull RB19 was a little too fast for the Spaniard and his team on this occasion. Speaking to the press after the race, Button said he would be happy with that result. That was as good as they were going to do. Even if they went on the right tier, it would have been a close call coming out of the pits, but Red Bull was just too fast. After the race, Alonso praised other drivers for their impressive control in intermittent conditions in Monaco. But everyone that watched the race admired the way the two-time champion showcased his excellent driving skills on the difficult Monte Carlo circuit, demonstrating his extensive experience in car racing. In Monaco, it was clear that Aston Martin gambled a bit to try and get a win. Nonetheless, when you have a driver of Alonso's capabilities, you can afford to think outside the box because you know he is one of the best drivers in the circuit's history. While the strategy was ultimately wrong, Aston Martin decided at the time because it was potentially a winning decision. One of the people that believe that Aston Martin cost Alonso the race includes Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff. He said that after the race, Alonso could have won if Aston Martin had given him intermediate tiers instead of starting him with medium ones. The event didn't go without a hitch, though as the expected downpour shocked the drivers toward the end, forcing teams to pit out new tires quickly. Interestingly, there was no need for safety cars or red flags despite the rain. Speaking about weather conditions, Alonso complained about the absence of full power around the lap and how fragile braking into turns 5 and 10 was during the race. He went ahead to express his surprise that no incidents took place during the race, saying, "I think everyone was doing an amazing job today to keep their cars on track." Since the elusive 33rd win on the track was extremely close in this race for the Spaniard, people would need to pay more attention to his races this year. Meanwhile, on Sunday, Esteban Ocon's podium finish in Monaco impressed some F1 journalists. One of those journalists is F1 pundit Scott Mitchell. The French driver ended the race in the Principality as third best. He focused on the race and escaped the barriers during the chaos toward the end. Speaking on the race, Scott explained how it was one of those impressive moments when a driver from a top midfield team has a great feeling in a vehicle and provides fierce competition to the stronger teams. In addition, the Frenchman also performed great during the qualifying sessions and was increasingly quicker as the tracks changed. The popular pundit said, "Yeah, I'm very impressed with Ocon this weekend. Just one of those weekends in which we've seen it a few times from many different drivers in Monaco, where a driver in one of the more upper midfield teams has a good feeling. The car is competitive and they grow in confidence." And Ocon was almost like a poster boy for that track evolution and the unpredictability of qualifying, especially Q3. He also spoke about other reasons why Ocon finished third place. First, Charles Leclerc's grid penalty allowed the Frenchman to move to third position, and Sergio Perez's shocking crash in Q1 also left a vacuum in the top 3 positions. But the pundit also praised the driver's raw speed during qualifying and his robust driving in the race on Sunday, which assisted his podium position in the end. Other drivers had a great outing on Sunday to reduce the number of pit stops. The list included eventual winner Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, and Valtteri Bottas. In the comment section, let us know what you think of the Monaco Grand Prix. If you liked the video, remember to subscribe to the channel and hit notifications to watch our next interesting video. See you in the next one.